Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's episode of Morte. There, tonight, the Cote Male will fight off against 100 knights in bloody, smiting combat. Hello, welcome everyone. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Carolina. Hello, Queen. Hello, Danny. Come in. Welcome to all. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Hello, hello, hello. Come in and welcome. How are we all? He says, shifting some books. Hello, Kathy. Hello, 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 Carolina. How are we all feeling this evening? I hope everyone is well. And looking forward to this. Welcome back to us, my absolutely Danny. It's not a Monday if there's not smiting involved. So hello, hello, Queen. Hello. Come in, welcome all, welcome all. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Thank you, I'm glad you like the jumper. I'm quite fond of this. I did go out shopping for some knitwear, so happy with this. Hello Susan, come in. Welcome, and yes, good. Chainmail undershirt, obviously. But here we go. We are all good. Hello, 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 everyone. Come in. Take up a seat. Hello, Lynn. Hello. We'll continue on in a couple of minutes with tonight's tale. We began it last week. But I'll do. Well, I've missed you too, Lynn. So welcome back. We will do a recap before we get into tonight's episode. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you all. Sir Tristram is on his way. We will get to Sir Tristram this week. We are still telling the tale of Sir Tristram, though you might be forgiven for not knowing it. Ooh, that sounds painful, Susan. My sympathies for your husband. I hope I never have to get mine pulled. Touch wood, grip wood, holding on to wood. Very much here. Ooh, that sounds painful. Well, I hope he's feeling much better. And to introduce you all to tonight's show tonight. Oh, good Lord. I said that and there was thunder rolling outside. I'm not sure if you heard the thunder rolling there. Well, you won't be bored any longer, Susan, because I'm here to stop boredom. Good Lord, there is thunder. It's a dramatic episode tonight. Tonight, ladies and gents, we follow on with the tale of the Cote Male, a knight who has come to the court of King Arthur, much in the same way that once upon a time Sir Bowman came to the court. This knight, the Cote Male, has come to the court of King Arthur, asking Arthur to make him a knight so that he could avenge the death of his father. Arthur has agreed, and no sooner has this man been made a knight that a damsel has come to the court, asking for a knight of King Arthur's court to be willing to take upon a quest. We've heard this story before, surely, but not in this way. Arthur has asked his knight which of them would take up a quest, and the Cote Male, a man who is wearing a misshapen coat, has agreed to take on the quest of this lady, to take up the shield of a knight who has been slain once taking on his quest. The lady, angry that a knight wearing such an evil-shaped coat should take upon the quest, has stormed off out of the castle. And the Cote Male tail has ridden on after her, has overtaken her, causing her some grief. She wants a better knight than the Cote Male to take up her quest, and it seems that the Cote Male is insistent on proving himself to be a great knight and one worthy of her quest. We will follow on with Le Cote Male tonight and see just what he can do to prove himself worthy of taking on her noble adventure. I said quest too many times now. I wanted another word. Sometimes quest is all that do. We'll go for adventure there. Ladies and gents, let's get into the third part of the tale of Le Cote Male tale. It was then, after the Cote Male tale had ridden off out of the court of King Arthur, that Sir Kay ordered Sir Dagonet and King Arthur's fool, to follow after the Cote Male. And there Sir Kay ordained that Sir Dagonet was horsed and armed, and bade him to follow the Cote Male. He cried and bade himself to make him ready to joust when he came upon him. And so, turning, the Cote Male took up Sir Dagonet's cry, made himself ready to joust, came together and smote him over his horse's crop. Then the damsel mocked the Cote Male and said, "Fie for shame! Now you are shamed in King Arthur's court, when they send a fool to have ado with ye, and specially at your first joust." And thus she rode long and chided him. And within a while there came Sir Blobris, the good knight, and there he jousted with the Cote Male, and there Sir Blobris smote him so sore that his horse and all fell to the earth. But the Cote Male arose lightly, dressed his shield, readied his sword, and would have done battle to the utterance, for he was very angry. "Not so," said Sir Blobris de Ganis, "for at this time I will not fight on foot." Then the damsel, whose name was Maldesonne, rebuked him in the foulest manner, and bade him turn away, coward. "And damsel," he said, "I pray you of mercy to missay me no more. My grief is enough, though you give me more. I call myself never the worst knight when a mare's son faileth me, and also I count me never the worst knight for a fall of Sir Blobris." And so thus he rode with her for 2 days, and by fortune there came Sir Palomides, who encountered with him, and he in the same way served him as Sir Blobris did beforehand. "What dost thou here in my fellowship?" said the damsel Maldesonne. "You canst not sit no night, nor withstand one stroke other than the fool of King Arthur's court." "Ah, fair damsel, I am not the worst to take a fall of Sir Palomides, and yet great disworship have I none, for neither Blobris nor yet Palomides would fight with me on foot." "As for that," said the damsel, "know you well they have such disdain and scorn for you that they will not come off their horses to fight against such a poor knight as yourself." And so in the meanwhile there came Sir Mordred, who was Sir Gawaine's brother, and so he fell in fellowship with the damsel Maldesonne. And then they came before the castle Orgulus. And there was such a custom there that it meant that no knight could come by that castle, but either he must joust or else be taken prisoner, or at the least will lose his horse and harness. And there came out 2 knights against them, and Sir Mordred jousted with the first, and that knight of the castle smote Sir Mordred down off of his horse. Then the Cote Male jousted with the other, and either each one smote each other down off of their horse and to the earth. And when they avoided their horses, then either of them took each other's horse, and then the Cote Male rode upon that knight, and smote down Sir Mordred, and jousted with him. And there Sir the Cote Male hurt and wounded him passingly sore, and he put him from his horse as he had been dead. So he turned upon him that met him afore, and took the flight towards the castle, and Sir the Cote Male rode after him into the castle Orgulus, and there the Cote Male slew him. Well, the poor Cote Male has finally got a dead knight under his belt, ladies and gents. Halfway through tonight's tale, Sir Kay, always one to embarrass the new knights of the court, sent King Arthur's fool, Sir Dagonet, after the Cote Male, so that Sir after, so that the Cote Male could knock Sir Dagonet from the horse, thinking that he had done well in jousting, though in truth he had only defeated a fool. Two other knights then came after him, Sir Blowbris and Sir Palomides, both great knights of the Round Table, and both of those knights beat Sir the Cote Male fair and square, neither one venturing to fight with him on foot, for both viewing the Cote Male as being too poor a knight to waste such effort on. But now, finally, in the shadow of the Castle Orgulus, the Cote Male has jousted with a knight, knocked him from his horse, and then chased him down to slay him inside the Castle Orgulus. Will this be the moment where the Cote Male's luck finally turns? Will this be the moment where he proves to his lady that he is a man who can face off against other knights in battle? Let's find out, ladies and gents, and welcome to Roger and Martin joining us midway through here. Please enjoy the tale as the Cote Male fights off against 100 knights. And anon there came 100 knights about him, and they assailed him. And when he saw that his horse should be slain, he alit and sent his horse to leave the castle, and he put the bridle under his feet, and so put himself out of the gate. And when he had done, he hurled himself amongst those 100 knights, dressed his back unto a lady's chamber wall, thinking himself that he had rather die there with worship than to abide the rebukes of the damsel Malversant, who would have called him a coward had he left. And in the meantime, as he stood and fought, that lady that was within the chamber went out slyly at her postern, and without the gate she found the Cote Male's horse, and lightly she got him by the bridle and tied him to the postern. Then she went into her chamber, and slyly again to behold how that one knight fought against 100 knights. And when she beheld him long, she went to a window behind his back and said, "Thou knight, you fight wonderfully well, but all at the last you must needs die, for you cannot through your mightily prowess win against yonder postern. Go there, for there I have fashioned your horse to abide thee. But know you well that you must think on thy worship, and think not to die, for you may not win until that postern, without doing so nobly and mightily." And when the Cote Male heard her say so, he gripped his sword in his hands, put his shield before him, and through the thickest press he thralled against them. And when he came to the postern, he found there ready 4 knights, and at 2 his fierce strokes he slew those 2 of the knights, and the others fled. And so he received his horse and rode from them, and all as it was rehearsed in King Arthur's court later, of how he slew 12 knights within the Castle Orgulus, and rode on his way. And in the meanwhile the damsel said to Sir Mordred, "I believe my foolish knight to be either slain or taken prisoner." Said Sir Mordred. Then they saw that he came riding. And when he came a-riding to them, he told all how he had sped and escaped in spite of all that was against him. "And some of the best of them will tell no tales," he said, "for they now lie dead." "You tell the false truth," said the damsel, "for you dare not make good, and you are a fool and a dastard to all knighthood, for they must have let you go. You couldn't have freed yourself by combat alone." "Then mayhaps I might prove myself again," said the Cote Male. And with that she sent a courier of hers that rode away from her to know the truth of his deeds. And so he rode thither lightly, and asked how and in what manner the Cote Male was escaped out of the castle. Then all the knights cursed him, and said that he was a fiend, and no man, for he had slain here 12 of the best knights of the castle, and they believed unto this day that it had been too much for Sir Lancelot de Lake or for Sir Tristram de Lyon to do such a deed. And in despite of us all, they said, he is departed from us, and now we hang our heads in shame. And it was with this answer that the courier departed and came to Malvoisin, his lady, and he told her all of how the Cote Male tale had sped at the castle Orgulus. Then she smote down her head and said little. By my head, said Sir Mordred to the damsel, you are greatly to blame, so to rebuke him. For I warn you plainly, he is a good knight, and I doubt not that he shall prove a noble knight. But as yet he may not yet sit sure on horseback, for he that shall be a good horseman must come of usage and exercise. But when he cometh to the strokes of his sword, he is then noble and mighty. And that saw Sir Blobris and Sir Palomides. For know you well that they are wily men of arms, and anon they know when they see a young knight by his riding, and how they are sure to give him a fall from his horse or a great buffet. But for the most part they will not depart to fight with a young knight on foot, for they are wise and strongly armed. For in likewise Sir Lancelot de Lake, when he was first made knight, he was often put to the worst upon horseback, but ever upon foot he recovered his renown, and slew and defoiled many knights of the Round Table. And therefore the rebukes of Sir Lancelot did unto many knights cause them to be men of prowess and beware. For often I have seen the old proved knights rebuked and slain by those who were young and but beginners. Thus they rode sure, talking all the way together. And here we leave of a while this tale, and speak of Sir Lancelot the Lake. Well, Roger, I'm glad that Sir Lancelot is your favourite. Sir Lancelot is who we will be talking about in tomorrow's tale. Hopefully tonight we have seen Le Cote Male proved to be a greater knight than he seemed at first. Sir Palomides and Sir Blobris, who knocked him from his horse, and for whom he received so much scorn by his lady. I am fabulous, Jennifer. How are you? Those two knights that knocked him from his horse, it seemed, would do that to all young knights, even Sir Lancelot. And when they refused to fight against him on foot, it was not because they disdained to fight with him, but because they have found before that when they departed from their horses to fight on foot against a knight, then would they leave themselves open to be defeated by the young knights of the realm. And so Le Cote Male is perhaps not the worst knight that we have seen, but in fact a great knight in the making, for on foot he held his own against 100 knights and slew 12 of them easily. Well, son of Texas, you are here listening to my tellings of the tales of King Arthur, as written down by Sir Thomas Mallory and retold by me. I do this every weeknight at 9 o'clock UK time, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. No, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Every night. I hope that you enjoy these shows. I enjoy them. Tomorrow night we're going to tell the tale of Sir Lancelot and how he came to know of Sir the Cote Male's exploits and how he fought off against 6 knights in a bloody battle. So please do join me for that. I'm looking forward to telling some tales of Sir Lancelot tomorrow. And I hope you guys will join me for that as well. I hope you can join me again, Roger, as well. It will be fun. There will be smiting. There will be swords. There will be chainmail. There will be horses. There will be buffeting on helms. And all the good stuff that makes for a cracking good yarn of Middle English romance. I love it too, Carolina. I love it even better when we get Tristram coming back into the tale. Oh yes, son of Texas, smiting does a good tale make. Sometimes we do tales that don't have any smiting in them, and I feel all out of sorts and I don't know what to do with them. But tonight, well, tomorrow, son of Texas, tomorrow we will be here again, ready for all of this good fun. Danny likes the smiting. We're not even halfway through this book yet, guys. Well, I'm glad, Carolina. I have never had to write essays on this. Which I guess, actually, I suppose on one side, I guess I'm kind of glad because I've only had to come at this from a reader's perspective. And although I do like writing essays on some books, there are some which I like just being able to enjoy as a reader and coming to them time and time again, fresh-faced, like this. But I'm glad you're enjoying the tale, glad you're liking all that. Coming up tonight, ladies and gents, over on Poetry Live, in about 6 minutes' time, I am going to be picking up and reading on at the end of Les Morte d'Arthur, Son of Texas. But what I do is the first hour, half of the hour, I go and read some of Les Morte d'Arthur by Thomas Mallory. And the second half, I do my poetry show where I read all types of different poems. And actually, the poem that I'm doing tonight is The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser. So actually, tonight, over on Poetry Live, in about 6 minutes' time, we are going to be continuing the theme of knights and ladies and witches and enchantresses as we continue with some poetic tales of knights and adventure. So I'm very excited to be getting into that with you guys. We were meant to do it on Friday, but unfortunately we weren't able to. So tonight, we will revisit The Fairy Queen, and I'm looking forward. Oh yes, witches, enchantresses. This part of the tale actually gets quite saucy for The Fairy Queen. So looking forward to that. I am going to run off downstairs for a couple of minutes though, and grab myself something to drink, otherwise my throat will go midway through. So I will grab something to drink, come up here, and then hopefully I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes' time as we crack on and do The Fairy Queen. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming tonight. Thank you, Queen and Danny. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Kathy and Roger and Son of Texas. Thank you, Ro. And thank you, Jenny. I hope you guys did enjoy this. I'm going to pop off now, grab a drink, then I'll come back and we'll have more adventures as we explore The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser for Poetry Live at past in a few minutes. Thank you so much, everyone.